Right lads, we're a little bit more with a 1 gallon batch. As you can see, it is just over half a gallon because, like I said, I was going to put a blow off tube on if it got a little bit crazy. Well, I went to bed, it was fine. I woke up the next morning, it was on the floor. So, never risk it for a biscuit. Gallon batches, put a blow off tube in because it's much easier than cleaning the carpet. So, what we're going to do is, I haven't got 2 demi-johns at the moment, so I'm just rack it over into a plastic and then I'll get this cleaned out and then put it back in. So, always check to make sure your auto siphon's going to actually fit in. Give us a second. So, if auto siphon doesn't fit, use the other siphon. Which is, yes, sanitised. It's always a good idea if you can get your siphon against the side of your container so you don't aerate the water or as little as possible. You mean you're always going to get a little bit of air into it. There's not a great deal you can do about that. But you don't want it to have a big fluffy head on it. And you'll see as this goes down. See with this one, it isn't as easy to use because it hasn't got a. The other one's got a cup on the end of it, so what happens is you can just stick it in the chilled, like the chilled in the bottom, it makes no difference, it's not going to end up sucking it all up the pipe, where this one is literally just a piece of pipe. So, we do have to be careful not to get too much across. You're always going to get a little bit, there isn't a lot you can do about that. So, in any case, I'm going to do this, and I'll get back to you in a second. Right then lads, so that's that done over. And as you can see, that is absolutely black. So all I'll do is I'll just stick the lid on that. See these water butts, they're alright. I don't particularly like to use them as fermenters because, as you can see on the inside, they've got ridges all the way down. And what often happens is as it's settling down, it'll actually start to rest on every one of those ridges all the way around. So when you siphon it out, that tends to go down and just clouds it all up. So I don't like to leave them in them. They do work. I mean, I'm not saying don't, I'm just saying they're not ideal. But again, these, unless you are lucky enough to get them for now, aren't the cheapest thing in the world to buy. And again, it's storage. I haven't got a big load of room to store all my kits, so we're I don't normally do 1 gallon batches, so I might get a few more of these. I don't know. I might see about getting a pot so I can do like a 2 gallon batch, and then I'll just use a big fermenter because I've got 3 of them. So, as you can see, all of the rubbish in the bottom of there is extremely thick and gunky. So, I'm going to get this washed out, and then I'll get it back across into this and I'll do a gravity reading and we'll see where we're at. And we started at 1061 or 1062, it was one or the other. I'll get the big boat out and have a look. And I'm hopefully going to get it down to about 1010, but we'll see. I mean, yeah, I'll get this washed out, I'll get a gravity reading done and I'll be back and have a little chat with you. See you in a bit. And I know when I was do the first video, I did say about putting the hydrometer inside. It did have one in. The problem was because I had that much blowout and ended up on the floor, the hydrometer was just sitting on the bottom in all that muck and wasn't actually in enough liquid to get a reading off it. So I'll be honest, the stuff that's coming out of it really doesn't smell that nice. Smells very sulphury, and anyone who's ever done wine, when you degas wine, it's got that funny sulphury smell. That's what it's kind of got going on. I think it's going to be watching me do this. Right then, so it's nowhere near ready. I didn't think it was. I just to be honest, I wanted to get it off that. Look at the bottom. So, as I said, that's all we have. We only have half of one. Because as I said, see, if this had just been pretty much as a drinking brew, and I wasn't that concerned about it, I would have topped that up a little bit. And probably just took a little bit of DME in. But because this is a tester for what I might be putting into the SJ pour, I don't mind if I only end up half a pint. All I want is this for is just to see if the recipe tastes nice. Again, it is quite different doing 1 gallon batches to doing full batches. I've never ever had a blowout, touch wood, on a full size 5 gallon batch. Every time I put beer into a demijohn, I end up getting it. Well, actually anything, because when I put wine into a demijohn, I had a blowout with that as well. But when I did a 30 bottle kit, I didn't have any problem with it whatsoever. So, anyways, hydrometer reading, it's near on 40. As I said, nowhere near where it needs to be, so we don't need to be too accurate with it. Again, it hasn't even had a week yet. It's a week on Wednesday, and it's only Monday today. But as I said, again, and the other reason why I want out of that is because it looked really awful sitting on the side of my bench, covered in whatever it spewed out. So, and I'm not going to put this back in because I'm going to taste it. Chocolate, very, very, very chocolatey. We'll have to keep an eye and see how that goes, because that at the moment that's going to be too chocolatey, and it's going to be that big flavour right the way through. It's going to just be the chocolate malt, which is not what I want. I want it half and half between the chocolate and the coffee. Licorice. That's exactly what that is. Licorice. It's all it tastes like. No, can't taste any coffee. Can't taste any chocolate. Them two flavours together. Can taste a bit of chocolate on the back end of it actually. But it does taste like, you know when you get them licorice pennies, the big black pennies there, that's what it tastes like, hard licorice. I can actually smell through that chocolate now. I've tasted it and I can actually smell a bit licorice on it. It is nothing at all like I want at the moment, but it doesn't taste nasty. That actually tastes quite nice if I was going for that. No, but we'll leave that. We'll let that carry on and let it finish itself off, and hopefully it'll just keep going nice. Again, the smoke cord will be going back on, and she will be going back in the cupboard in the warm, which again, I mean, I'm not in any rush. We've got a couple of months before I really need to start off. The only thing is with this being a stout or a dark beer, it will need a little bit of time aging in the bottles. A lot of pale ales and stuff like that, you can, I know lots of people say you shouldn't, but you can rush them through a little bit and they don't need as long. I just think these, especially with the coffee and the chocolate flavours, it'll do an awful lot better if they're left to mature slightly in the bottles and condition a bit. But I'll keep you informed of what's going on, and that's the best I can do with that for the moment. So that's what she looks like when she's all wrapped up. As I said, that smoke wood just keeps her a little bit warmer, because for all of it, it's starting to get a bit nice. It still gets a little bit cold on the night and stuff like that. So she's in the cupboard in the middle part of my house. You couldn't get any more central in my house than that cupboard. So temperature doesn't affect it. Outside temperatures don't really affect that cupboard, because of where it is and how the radiators are situated in the rooms either side of it. it always stays at the same, pretty much the same temperature. It's always about 18, 19 degrees. Heating on full middle of the winter or no heating on middle of the summer, it really makes no difference. So, I think it's, see you in a bit, lads. Be safe.